Welcome back to the Bleav in Jets podcast. My name is Rami Lavi. Exciting news. Bilal Powell is going to be back this week. We'll also talk to Antoine Staley at some point. We got a lot to talk about as we get closer to the NFL season. But most of all, I am so fired up because guess what? We are finally done with preseason football. Preseason football is officially over. And I despise preseason football. Every year, and this is the beauty of preseason football, is that going into the year, you feel excited. The Hall of Fame game, you're fired up. You're ready for football. You're excited for football to be back. You're like, oh, I'm definitely watching preseason this year. This is sick. By the time we get to game 3 and Giants-Jets, the Snoopy Bowl, and thank goodness there was no Mark Sanchez playing in the Snoopy Bowl. There was no stupidity on the Jets side, at least. And it's just over. I watched the game. It was atrocious. Look, are there some takeaways? Yeah, I guess. Like Israel Abanikando. I don't know if he's going to make the roster. He may not. I like what he did. He looked good, but does he make it through a roster crunch? Maybe. All these quarterbacks, if we get to the point where Aiden Martinez or whatever his name is playing for the Jets this year, you know how screwed our season is? You know how long gone the Jets season is if you have to get to that point? So let's pump the brakes on everything that we saw. Obviously there's some other things that stood out, but the point is it's not real football. No one's playing. And look, the Jets might as well have told you, and I was talking to Ian O'Connor about this. Obviously, I had him on the show to talk about the Aaron Rodgers book, and then as fate would have it, he hosted a show on WFAN that I produced. So we were talking before and during the show about how the Jets this year, they might as well literally announce to the 49ers, hey, we're throwing a screen pass on first down, and then we're going to hand it off 3 times. Basically, we're going to get Rodgers an easy completion so that he has at least one completion in his career with the Jets, and we're going to make sure he lasts at least 5 plays this year. The only thing that could be worse than last year, because Antoine said it, my father said it, everyone who's a Jets fan has said it, it can always be worse. And the only way it can be worse than last year for the New York Jets is if Aaron Rodgers lasts less than 4 plays. And starting him on the road in San Francisco is a great recipe to try and get him killed. So I don't know what the idea was behind that. But the point is, Aaron Rodgers was never going to play in the preseason. It was never going to happen. They were never going to play Aaron Rodgers in the preseason because they couldn't risk it being worse than last year, him getting hurt in the preseason. Oh, but he could have gotten hurt in practice, or you could get hurt slipping in the shower. You could get hurt anywhere. That's all true, and it may very well still happen because whatever bad can happen for the Jets will happen for the Jets. I've always said this. But the Jets, in a preseason game that doesn't matter, you can justify him getting hurt in practice. And by the way, they said, Rodgers said it, Quinn and Williams said it, they're running practice harder than ever. This is as hard as they've run them in practice. And that's a good thing because they weren't playing them in the preseason. They knew it all along. And even Rodgers said preseason is fake football. We are so close. I don't know how many people realize this. We are close to preseason games being obsolete. Like, extinct. We may go down to 1 or 0 within the next 5 years. We're talking about an 18-game season. There's going to be more revenue brought in. I think season ticket holders are finally starting to push back on having to pay full price for preseason games. They'll be willing to pay, and this is so true. Evan Roberts said this on Friday. Sports and football fans would be willing to pay more per game. If you took the preseason price and divided it over the course of the regular season and then just said that the preseason games were comped, but they're still paying the same total number, but it's spread out over the rest of the games, but the preseason games are free for the season ticket holders, every season ticket holder would feel better about it. And it's literally just semantics. It doesn't matter. It's the same amount of money. It means nothing. But that's the point. The point is preseason is just looking at that and seeing, wow, I'm paying $150 for a preseason game because that's what my regular season ticket price is. The fact that it's the same price is ridiculous. So preseason, There's nothing to watch. There's no one cares. Unless you're a Zach Wilson truther. I know I went on this rant already a couple weeks ago, but Zach Wilson truthers, my God. First of all, did you see him getting tackled by air last week? Did you see his sack where he got just unloaded on in the end zone for a safety? So this week, when no one's playing any of their starters, no one's playing any of their backups, these are third stringers. Everyone who played this week are guys who are going to be cut, not even practice squad players. Zach Wilson won't be a practice squad player. I think he'll be cut. Maybe he finds a practice squad somewhere, but Bo Nix is the starter. Jarrett Stidham is the backup. I don't know if they're going to carry 3 quarterbacks. Zach Wilson is not an NFL quarterback. Everyone knows that. Oh, but he balled out against Arizona's 4th team. That's what it is. It's guys who literally are not going to be on an NFL roster in 24 hours. And we're acting like, oh man, Zach Wilson, don't look now. Look at these throws. Look at these plays. Can we stop it? Those are the only people who care about preseason. Zach Wilson truthers. Morons. Speaking of former Jets, though, Sam Darnold is going to have a great year. And this was my prediction. I said Sam Darnold is going to have a great year for Minnesota. Aaron Rodgers wins the Super Bowl this year with the Jets. Sam Darnold has one good year before J.J. McCarthy comes back next year. And then Sam Darnold, I'm coming home, comes back to the Jets after they win the Super Bowl this year with Rodgers. Sam Darnold, off a great year with Minnesota, comes back to the Jets, is the Jets quarterback for the next 10 years. Boom. And they're a contender every year with Sam Darnold. Isn't that the greatest storyline in the NFL this year? Sam Darnold, comeback story. He's actually like 25-1 odds to win comeback player of the year. Aaron Rodgers is favorited. And by the way, speaking of favorites, the Jets are now favorites in the AFC East. So they jumped Buffalo as the favorites in the AFC East. And to me, I don't like this. I don't like the hype. And I'm going to get into this as we get closer to the season with Bleav, but I'll start it now. Everyone talks about the early season schedule and how easy it is. It is not easy. The games might look light on paper. The quarterbacks they're playing are easy after the Niners game. The problem is the travel is impossible. So I'd rather play the tougher teams with that travel, I guess, because they're tough games as it is. So the games that are softer games for the Jets, they now have to have increased travel. Look, they have a short week, right? Monday, they have a Monday night football game in San Francisco to start the season. They're coming back to the East Coast, coming back home, and then have to fly out to Tennessee for a Sunday game, a short week. And by the way, a short week made shorter because they're going to have to be prepping their game plan. Any football player would tell you this. I'll confirm with Bleav on Thursday or Wednesday this week, that when you have a Thursday night game the following week, you prepare 2 game plans the previous week. So they're going to be having to prepare. And I could see a very real situation, very real scenario where they're 0-2 coming home for the home opener against the Patriots. And that's going to be terrifying for Jets fans. But I think it's better than likely, more than likely, better than 50% chance that the Jets are 0-2 coming home to start the season. Coming home for a Thursday night home opener against a Patriots team that you can never beat no matter how bad they are. That's going to be, the panic in New York from that Monday morning after the Jets game, or from 4 p.m. on Sunday after that Jets-Tennessee game until 9 p.m. when they're up 2 scores on the Patriots on Thursday night. The panic is going to be all-time high for New York Jets fans. Last year, I don't think there was panic when Rodgers went down. It was just depression, sadness. If they're 0-2, and I think they will be, going into week 3 against the New England Patriots, a team that's had their number for 20 years, at home on Thursday night, a short week. At that point, we're going to be so thankful that there's a short week. Short weeks suck, right? Having to play Thursday night after having played Sunday sucks. We're going to be so grateful that we get that taste out of our mouth of losing in Tennessee. It's going to suck. Now, I could be wrong. Now, if they win in San Francisco week 1, the euphoria is going to be nuts. House money spot. It's going to feel like, oh my God. But beware. The New York Jets are very likely, and it doesn't mean anything because you have Aaron Rodgers, you have this great defense. You could still win 13 games after starting 0-2. But I think there's a real chance this Jets team starts 0-2. Game 1, week 1 in San Francisco, the best team in the NFC, the most complete team in the league, maybe. It's going to be a tough matchup on a Monday night home opener. Season opener. than coming home, having to prepare 2 game plans, and then fly back on a short week back to Tennessee in a game that could be a little bit of a look-ahead spot, a game that could be a letdown from the previous week. And it's the rookie head coach for Tennessee. It's his first game at home. I don't know. I'm scared of that game. I think the Jets very realistically lose both the first and second game and start 0-2. And I still think, I didn't do my season prediction yet. The number's 9.5. I'll tell you right now, my number is over that. I think they win more than 10 games, or 10 games at least, more than 9. So I think the Jets are going, look, logically, I think the Jets are going to have a good season. Because if your answer is, well, oh, it's the Jets and that's why they won't have a good season, that's not good enough. Everything changes at some point, right? For the Red Sox, it changed in 2004. Sometimes the night is darkest before the sun rises. Didn't Aaron Rodgers say that last year? Last year feels like as dark as the night could get, but it can always get worse. And that's why the Jets are not. They put Aaron Rodgers in bubble wrap this year until week 1 against San Francisco. Oh, but trotting him out, first time he's seeing an NFL defense in over a year, it's going to be in San Francisco. That makes sense. Yeah, because guess what? That matters. That's a real NFL game, and they're going to protect him, and they're going to make sure he doesn't take any vicious hits, and they're going to be careful. I would have liked to have seen the offensive line play on Sunday. I would have liked to, or Saturday against the Giants. I would have liked to see them start to gel. But whatever, we're not going to see it. That's what preseason is now. We were never going to see it. Some other storylines. Mike White was cut by the Miami Dolphins. And how many Jet fans want to see? I mentioned Sam Darnold before. I'm coming home. Mike White coming back to New York, coming back to the Jets. As the third string quarterback, Tyrod Taylor has an injury history. Practice squad that man. Get him on the practice squad right now. Tyrod Taylor has an injury history. If Rodgers goes down, Tyrod goes down, you need a quarterback for a game or two, Mike White's your guy. I'm telling you, I love Mike White. And Jordan Travis isn't ready yet. The other 2 kids, Peasley, they're not playing. They're not actually playing for this team. They'll be cut tomorrow, and they're nice stories, but they'll be cut tomorrow. So, look, I would be a major fan. I would be a huge proponent of bringing back Mike White to be the practice squad third string quarterback until Jordan Travis is ready. And for Jordan, it's probably going to be a redshirt year. He's probably not going to end up playing at all this year. So I could see that happening. I would love to see that happen. If I were a Jet fan, I'd love to see that happen. But look, the 0-2, that's realistic. And it's unfortunate, but that's just how it is. I'm trying to see if there's a couple other things. There was a funny moment from training camp where, and Aaron Rodgers, if he had a sense of humor, he would have done this, but his sense of humor is only to an extent. The Jets social media team does a great job, and the Jets social team does these things where when players are walking out onto the practice field, out of the tunnel, on the practice field, they'll ask them a random question. So the question was, name something overrated. And they said, Aaron Rodgers stopped by and he said, training camp. Now, training camp is funny because they're in the middle of training camp right now, or they just wrapped up. But if he really had a sense of humor, if you said, hey, Aaron Rodgers, name something overrated, he should have said the last 2 days of minicamp, because that would have been funny. That would have been, again, poking the bear. And maybe I like to think that maybe that's what he meant, that last 2 days of minicamp is what he meant to say, but just couldn't think of it quick enough. He likes to poke the bear. He likes to needle the fan base. He likes to needle everything. So, I think that's funny. I think Aaron Rodgers has a sense of humor. I think that's hilarious that he said that. I don't know if that's what he meant. I'm going to choose to believe that that is what he meant, that he did mean to, kind of needle the fan base a little more, needle the Jets a little more, needle the media a little more. So, typical Aaron Rodgers, just making fun right there and being like, oh, I think this is overrated, because he knew he would get people going. By the way, speaking of, how useless minicamp is, how meaningless preseason. I think minicamp is more meaningful than preseason. Preseason's so meaningless that Robert Saleh is now 10-2-1 as a head coach in preseason. That's how you know that preseason means nothing, because that guy's like 30 games under 500 in the regular season, and he's 10-2-1 in the preseason. Hasn't translated yet. Hopefully one day that'll translate. Look, as we wrap up the preseason portion of this show and we get ready, I'm so ready for the season. Bilal's going to be back on later this week. I think we're recording on Wednesday, and we're going to talk Jets, and I can't wait. But as we wrap up this part of the season, I can't wait. The next time they play, it's going to matter. And the season's going to have its up and downs for sure, but this team is good. Like, as a Jet fan, we've bought into teams that were head coach was Adam Gase or Todd Bowles, and the quarterback was Sam Darnold or Josh McCown. Jets fans have talked themselves into terrible teams over the year. Allow yourself to dream big about the Jets in 2024, because you don't know when you're going to have expectations like this again. It may not be for a while that the Jets have expectations like this ever again. This team is and should be good. This team, their roster is top 5 in the league. When you look around the AFC and you look at the other teams, sure, the Chiefs are great. They're not even what they were. Kelsey's a year older. The receiving core is not as great. Last year it wasn't great. It really wasn't. You look at Buffalo, they take a step back. We know that they're going to take a step back. Miami, okay. I mean, I can't argue, but they're a little bit soft. We saw that in the playoffs last year. Cincinnati, Burrow has to stay healthy. Who knows if he can stay healthy? Lamar Jackson's never done anything in the playoffs in his life. Why aren't the Jets, their roster, their defense is better than any other defense in the AFC? Maybe other than Cleveland, but Cleveland's not that good. They're running back, Breece Hall. If you're drafting fantasy football this year, you have to take Breece Hall as one of the top 3 picks in fantasy football this year. I'm not even kidding. He is a top 3 running back in the NFL this year, especially fantasy-wise. If Rodgers is there, he's going to get so many dump-offs. They're going to run the offense through him. He's incredible. The secondary on the defensive side, the D-line, even without Hassan Reddick, is going to be incredible. He would just be a force multiplier. The offensive weapons with Garrett Wilson. What Garrett Wilson has done with 0 quarterback play in his career is insane. It's outstanding. If Aaron Rodgers is 75% of the Aaron Rodgers we saw in Green Bay, the New York Jets are a real Super Bowl contender. Allow yourself and allow your mind to go there. I'm terrified of that reality as a Jet fan. I know how it feels. I'm terrified to admit it because it's scary. This team has only ever disappointed us. But past results, while they are the best indicator of future outcomes, they don't predict future outcomes. This team has a chance to be special. And I'm excited for this season. I have to be. I have no choice but to be. And the next time they're on the field, it's going to be real. It's going to be Jets football against the Niners on Monday Night Football. And I can't wait. And until then, all the hype, everything can go out the window. We can toss it all aside and we can focus on football. And are there going to be ups and downs? Are there going to be some times where you want to pull your hair out? Are there going to be times where this team wants to make you yell and scream? Sure, that happens all the time. It's the Jets. But just know the expectations are real, and these expectations, you should feel good about them as a New York Jets fan. So until next time, please like and subscribe. I took my Be Real just now, yes. Share the podcast. I appreciate you all for listening. Later this week, we'll have BP, and we'll have Antoine on at some point. We'll go through every week. We'll go through the schedule and see where the Jets have wins and losses. We'll do our final season preview. And then we're into week 1 with the 49ers. I can't wait. I hope you guys are excited as I am for football. Until next time, like, subscribe, share the podcast. Appreciate you all for listening. See ya.